Today there are two main themes in our worship service: community and change. Today we welcome one of our youth, Jacob, to our pulpit to share his experience of growing up as a Unitarian Universalist. And so at this time, let's pause to be aware of all the people who form the community that we hold so dear, this community that has the potential to nurture, to challenge sometimes, and to also change itself, and in the process, change each of us. Our call to worship this morning is by Barbara Peskin. In this familiar place, listen to the sounds of breathing, creaking chairs, shuffling feet, clearing throats, and sighing. Know that each breath, each movement, the glance meant for you or intercepted, holds life within it. These are the signs that we choose to be in this company, have things to say to each other, things not yet said, but in each other's presence, still trembling behind our heart's doors. Those doors closed but unlocked, each silent thing waiting on the threshold between knowing and unknowing, between hidden and being known. Find the silence among these people and listen to it all: breathing, sighs, movement, holding back. Hear the tears that have not yet reached their eyes. Perhaps they are your own. Hear also the laughter building deep inside, where love and joy abide, despite everything. Listen and rejoice. Come, let us worship together this morning. Our spoken meditation this morning is by Jane Rani Respika, with the lovely title, The Idiocy of Flight. A well-known poem by Robert Graves speaks of butterflies, their honest idiocy of flight, lurching here and there by guess and God and hope and hopelessness. Any number of quotations sound this way, and so I think do we, but privately. Publicly, we speak the civilized language of human beings who have things under control. No idiocy, no lurching. The world sees that we function well and happily. Other people believe it, and even we begin to believe it. Life moves forward as always. Privately, though, we experience long stretches of turbulence and the occasional sudden downdraft. So many in our congregation feel alone when things go poorly at home, when they feel their age, whatever it is, or when they grieve. So many feel alone in their money worries or career problems. Awful life situations seem to set us apart from one another. Normal lives include these awful parts. They don't always show from the outside. It's hard to believe any of the other people at coffee hour might be feeling the same kinds of screaming pain or emptiness or entrapment or panic or precariousness or just low-grade worry. Lives, even lives well lived, don't stay in place for long. At least that's how it seems from the peculiar advantage point of the minister's office. It's a help, I think, to accept the idiocy of flight, the butterfly flight pattern so firmly implanted in the human mind and the human heart. Let the lurching, then, be no surprise, and know that we're all up there, flying every which way together. Most Sundays in this congregation, we set aside time for silent meditation to find a calm center in those long stretches of turbulence in our week. This is a time to rest our feet on the ground, lower or close our eyes, and breathe. You may want to count your breath, equal counts in, equal counts out. You may just want to sit and let the thoughts, like clouds, float in and out. If thoughts occur, just bless them and let them go. Or you may wish to use this time of silence to send your love and blessings out from your heart to all others. Feel the loving kindness as a palpable presence radiating out from you, and receive the loving kindness being offered to you by others. Please join me in this time of restorative and healing silence.
Hi. As most of you know, my name is Jacob Rosenberg. I'm happy to be able to share my thoughts, experiences as a lifelong Unitarian Universalist, otherwise known as UU. I will try to tie in the 7 principles in this talk, but not necessarily in order. My story as a UU begins when I was a baby. My parents had been attending a UU congregation in Summit, New Jersey for years. My mother had been raised Catholic and my father raised Jewish, so UU was a religion they both felt comfortable with. I was adopted at the age of 4.5 months from Guatemala. At the time, my father was an active RE teacher in the congregation, and my mom also volunteered. The congregation had been following my parents' adoption efforts, and they were very excited. When I was brought into the 6th grade class that my dad taught, I am told I was passed around to hold. A couple months later, a naming ceremony was held for me, and I was presented to the Summit congregation. For years, I went to UURE, otherwise known as religious exploration, or religious education. But around the time I was 8 years old, my dad wanted me to experience the Jewish religion. I began to go to a liberal temple for RE for many months, but I was not fond of going. I did not fit in, especially when I had a hard time learning the Hebrew alphabet. The rules and expectations for the kids were not as flexible, and because I have ADHD, it was hard for me to sit in class. After giving it a good try for many months and not liking it, we decided that I should go back to the UU congregation's RE. I think this experience could fall under the 4th principle, the belief that each person should be free to search for what is true and right for him and her life. I was glad to return to the UU congregation because there I was accepted for who I was, even if I was fidgety, and I didn't have to learn their language. So up until the time we moved from New Jersey to California in late 2008, I went to a UU congregation. My family began coming to Live Oak as soon as we arrived in Goleta. I like coming to Live Oak each week because I always had fun, and I met many cool kids and people, and the RE teachers, they were always patient with me. I now know I was a handful at times, and I apologize. I would like to thank my mom, Cecilia Ramirez, for bringing me to Live Oak almost every week since we've been coming here. Thank you, Mom. The first UU principle, where we believe that each person is important. I learned this in one of the RE classes when one of the kids didn't really, we were doing something and they didn't get what they wanted. And we learned that even though there wasn't enough, that if we all gave part of our stuff, we could help them feel like they were part of the group. The second principle, where we believe that everyone should be treated fairly and kindly, kind of going into that same story where we, help that kid. And the third principle, where we believe that we should accept one another and keep learning together. I don't have many specific memories of what I did when I was a little kid at RE. But one thing I do remember was making the cranes as a celebration for coming to this new area. And we made 1,000 of them and we hung them along the back walls and stuff, but they took them down. But some of the highlights of my time at Live Oak, I remember, have been at youth group. With the youth group, we worked on fundraising at Song Trees here at the congregation when they had concerts. Some of the other teens and I would sometimes make our own cookies and would sell them at the concert. Working together, we had put into practice the fifth principle, the one where all persons should have a say or vote about the same thing that concerned them. With the money we raised, we would go on outings once a year if we were lucky enough to go to Joshua Tree. We were able to stay at a really nice dome home owned by one of the congregation's members. We took some awesome hikes. Our youth leader, Kyle, cooked for us and we helped. We played some really fun games like Settlers of Catan, Cards Against Humanity, and Pandemic. We stayed up late and saw amazing stars in the desert sky, and we got up to watch the sunrise. We barely slept. As a group, we attempted to paint the water tower, but Jasmine and I got lazy and had Megan do most of the work. In the meantime, I think Kyle was trying to teach us some valuable lessons and have us experience the UU principles. He also took us on some really great hikes in our area. There are so many beautiful places that we went to. It instilled in us an appreciation for nature and how we need to preserve it. This is the seventh principle for our earth and independent web of life. During our hikes or other outings, Kyle encouraged us to be outside more and put down our electronics, which was kind of hard to do. He taught us how to make our own fire and how to make sand castles and how to dye, which is one of my favorite things to wear, as you can see. One of the other activities we did as a group was helping serve meals at the homeless shelter. It was an interesting experience for all of us. We saw that people who went there were pretty grateful for what they got, even though it didn't look appetizing to us. It helped us realize that we are lucky and can count on being able to eat every day without worrying where or how we'll get our next meal. And also appreciate how our nice warm homes are. Although youth group is small, we become very close-knit, accepting of one another as who we are. We have a lot of fun. When I think about being a UU has shaped my life, one of the things that immediately comes into mind is the belief of accepting people for who they are. I know sometimes it is easy to prejudge people by their looks or maybe by their religion. But now I know it is best to first talk to someone and get to know them before forming an opinion. I have been pleasantly surprised many times when I've gotten to know someone after spending time with them. I know people sometimes dress differently, dye their hair, or do other things to alter their appearance. This happens at school a lot. I think they're probably just expressing their feelings and wanting to look different by talking and listening. We usually find out we are more alike than different. I will graduate high school in June. My plans are to go to City College and find out what I want to do, most likely something related to technology. But I will go into young adulthood with the hope that I can keep living my life and try to follow our UU principles. I'm really glad my parents brought me up as a UU, and I'm especially glad to be part of this community. It always makes me feel welcome, supported, and encouraged. Thank you all for listening.
Our faith, this congregation, is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences and beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. Let us pause in silent witness to that unity. And may the blessings of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. And may love's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. And blessed be. And now, as we extinguish the light of our communal chalice, now is when our service truly begins. We